Good evening, everybody. Hello, Mr. J. It's lovely to see you. I do my best not to use full names on camera because I'm recording the session. But welcome, welcome. It's awesome to see you. And my awesome Boo squad. These guys are amazing. I just need to do this. Okay. Just to let you know, guys, the reason that I start with our website isn't just so that it's at the start of the video with the glendowrie.com URL, but it's also so that I have time to spotlight me. So I'm not recording images of you guys and putting it all over the internet, just recording images of me and putting it on the internet. Oh, Mr. Jones, where's your camera? Oh, darn, full name. Okay. Oh, there he is. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, guys, good to see you tonight. Let's get stuck in. I'll see whether I can survive 2 of these sessions in a row. I have to do one with the little guys. Sit up. Come here. Take one. Raise your right hand and recite the tenets. Shijok, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit, and the student oath. So, I shall observe the tenets of Taekwondo. I shall respect the instructor and seniors. I shall never misuse Taekwondo. I shall be a champion of freedom and justice. I shall build a more peaceful world. Bottom. Okay, rotating wrists. Let's get stuck in. Change direction. Just be careful with your surroundings, with this floor, the surface that you're on, elbows. Hopefully you've all got a training towel with you. I needed mine tonight so that I could mop up the little sweat spots on my floor, and on me. Change direction. And if you've got a floor where that's a problem and you might hurt yourself, you'll need a towel. Arms back. Forward. Torso. Left ankle. Who's been doing their hourly push-ups? Well, they can while they're at home. Good. 10 push-ups every hour. Really good for that development. Awesome for those of you there. Fantastic. Change direction. Just having a little timer going so that it goes off every hour. Drop into 10 push-ups, then get back to your schoolwork or your work. Change foot. Although, Dr. Y, I expect you're probably not able to do a lot of work at the moment. It's pretty hard to do your job by Zoom. And change foot. It's there in science fiction, just not in reality yet. And hands on knees, squatting down. Be careful with your knees. Particularly those of us that are not so young, if you know you got a problem. Otherwise, let's warm them up. Well, in any case, let's warm them up, but just be careful how you warm them up. And hands up by your brain, circling your knee outwards. Those hips warm. We're going to do a lot of work with our legs today. So we're going to do our best to get them nice and warm. Inwards. Let's just do 10 push-ups while we're in the vein. Don't rush them. Do nice, strong push-ups. It's only 10, so you can work on nice body position and full range of motion. Keep that neck straight. Don't hang your head down. Okay, from here, right leg back, walking ready stance. Beat. Actually, I should do this correctly into the left leg back. Change legs. It's a block. We'll do the left leg first. Up joligi. Hana. Two. Set. Net. Taso. Yaso. Ilga. Yado. Aho. Yo. Change legs. Hana. Two. Set. Net. Taso. Yaso. Ilga. Yado. Aho. Yo. Anim Sajerigi. Sorry. Anim Jubisagi. My brain's wide. From here, Hyopcha Oligi. Just do one side at a time in case you got a little space. Go. Hana. Two. Give your guarding block. Set. Make sure you pivot that supporting foot. Net. Taso. Yaso. Ilga. Yaro. Aho. You go shoulders open. Yul. Can pivot. Jacob pivot. Other side. Go. Hana. Two. Set. Net. Tasso. Yaso. Ilga. Yaro. Aho. Yo. And one more in case I miscounted. Bottom. Okay, now a little bit more dynamic movement to warm those legs up. Kick for kick. Any kick you like. Keeping in rhythm with me. So I kick, then you kick. Then I kick, then you kick. Any kick, either leg. Make sure you're in a good stance. We'll start slowly. Away we go. Always coming back to a good stance after each kick. A little bit faster now. Keep your hands up, Arnav. Don't give up on me now. Keep watching me for timing. And come on. Oh, grab a drink. Just very briefly, stretch off your hamstrings. The reason I want to get the legs nice and warm is because we're going to do a bit of work on using your hip to develop power in your kicks. Explosive kicks. Change legs. Relax the hamstring, feel the stretch. And 10 push-ups. Okay, one little moment here. Okay. Funny windows open. Okay. We're going to start with really basic kicks and think about how to develop power with the hips. So front snap kick first up from our walking ready stance. You'll commonly see people do their kicks like this. There's nothing but leg in there. They might have strong breath. They might be fast with the kick. They might have lots of arm power, but nothing in the kick. Your hip is part of your kick. So from the floor, my hip comes forward as my knee comes up. My hip keeps going forward as my foot goes forward. Okay, so it's one coordinated motion. I don't stop my kick, my hip rather, when my leg goes forward. I have to coordinate it so that my hip finishes at the same time as my foot. So the hip is going forward. I don't lean back for a front snap kick. The book says very clearly for a front snap kick, you should lean very slightly forward. But my hip has to be going the same direction as my foot and getting the moment of impact at the same time. Okay, try it. So all about generating power with the hip. When you're walking ready stance, lift your leg, make sure your hip's exploding forward and finishing at the same time as your foot. It doesn't mean you have to over-exaggerate your hip. It doesn't have to go further forward. It may mean you have to lift your foot a little bit earlier. Extend a bit earlier. Oh no, lift it up.
So,
Yes, Colt,
is the hip motion like a rotating action, sir?
the hip.
Great. Is there a bit of
This
rotation?
one not, because I'm in a walking stance and my hip and my kick's going straight forward. It's kind of more a direct line than it is a rotate.
So how do you avoid leaning back, sir?
It's timing. So I don't wait until I'm here before I extend my foot out. I extend my foot out when I'm about here.
Ah,
And
so
I can still be moving the hip forward at the same time, but finish at the same time. Does that make sense?
understand, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Try both legs. So as we just got there, the extension of your leg is a little bit earlier so that your foot finishes at the same time as your hip. Your hip should not finish first. Your foot finishes at the same time as your hip does. Okay. When you're starting to feel it from your walking ready stance, explode a few from the floor. This is why we needed warm legs, because we're really working those hamstrings. Picture the boards you're breaking. 3, 4, 8, 9 boards. Whatever feels good for you. Remember to use sine wave when you return to your walking ready stance. Good. I'm seeing a bit of it. That's good. I'm seeing that coordination. That's good. Hip and foot move together. It's just like when you do hand movements. Your hip moves first and then your hands catch up. It's exactly the same with your feet. Your hip moves first and your foot catches up and they finish together. Cam, your hip's finishing just a little bit too soon. So you haven't got the power of your hip in with your kick. Your hip's finishing a little bit earlier. Okay, you want to be same time. Nice, Colin. Good, Liam. Good, Jacob. Now add the explosion. So relax, 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 explode. The last bit is super fast. So it's accelerating. That's it. Now, if you're sideways, you'll see your own hip in the camera. Okay? So you see the coordination. Try it slowly. Do the same thing, but slow it down and feel whether your hip is stopping when your foot hits the target or before it hits the target. Keep your hands up and out of the way. And then do a couple more hard. Okay, come on. Cool. Next kick we're going to play with is yop charging, because it's a really tremendously powerful kick when it's done well. A couple of principles first. Make sure that you pivot as you extend your kick. You have to pivot your supporting foot. There's a couple of you whose supporting foot is not pivoting far enough. It has to point away from your kick. 75 degrees away is only a tiny bit off directly behind you. So that's the first thing. Second thing, lift your knee and your foot up. Don't just lift your foot. Now for tonight, for this exercise, I want all the hips at the height of your belt. So we're not struggling with lifting your leg high, but you still got to lift that knee and foot up and then explode out this way. The third point, keep your shoulder open. Don't drop your shoulder when you kick. Don't let that top shoulder turn over. Keep this forward hand out to remind you to try and keep that shoulder up. So the 3 points, pivot the supporting foot, lift the knee and foot, and keep the shoulder up as you explode. And then I want you to feel the explosion of the kick. Smash it out, stamp it out. Go slightly below the hip if it's comfortable, or below the belt. Just go to a comfortable height. Go. Again, take your time. I'm just doing it from parallel starts. So you really feel the explosion. Cam, try and keep that top hand open. When you're kicking at the moment, your top hand is pulling across, which is dropping the top shoulder this way. Try and keep it open. So open the top shoulder. That's it. Yes. Good. That's looking better as well. Smash it out. Feel it stamp out. Good, Jacob. Just more pivot. Just use the front leg for now. So the pivot and things are easy. Keep the movement easy. You can play with back leg and stuff later. For now, let's keep it easy as possible. Make sure you're pivoting. Then try the other leg. Do a couple slowly first. And then smash it. The backhand by your brain. Really feel yourself extend out. Nice, Dr. White. Lift that knee. Stamp it out. Just watch that top shoulder, Isabel. Try and open it up. That's it. Yes. Liam, a little bit more stamp. And pause for a moment. So just like our hand techniques, you relax and you accelerate through the movement. Okay, where sometimes we've got a tendency with our kicks to do them with speed rather than with acceleration, which doesn't have as much power. So when we're using our hands, we relax and explode. It's the same thing with our feet. Relax and explode. Okay, so from here, we should be able to go boom and explode. So relax, explode. Go. Try and accelerate when you're extending the kick. Relax in the load, accelerate the extension. Feel the stamp. If you find that the knee is dropping when you kick a little lower. I don't care if you kick a knee height, you're just working on the technique. So don't let that knee turn over and point downwards. Keep the shoulder open. Kicking low will help you keep that shoulder open. You can work on height later. Nice, Mr. J. Good, Jacob. Okay. Unabused, dropping that top shoulder a little bit, which is part of why you're falling forwards. That's better. That's it. Keep the kick low. And feel where that point of gravity is over the, so that's it. Now you got it. You got balance that time because you got your center of gravity of your leg. Nice, and command. Okay. One more basic kick to play with is Dolachagi. Dolachagi, remember, is aim for 44 for an angle to your side front. So when I kick, my supporting foot is still going to point that way if I'm kicking over here. So it's 45 degrees away from my kicking angle here. Now the same thing, we have a tendency to lift our leg up and then just snap out with the leg. It's only got leg power in it. I want you to try this from your L stance. Slowly first, get your body momentum, body, hip, leg, foot. And your hip and your foot stop at the same time. They reach the target at the same time. Body, hip, leg, foot. Lift that knee and foot high. Pivot the supporting foot. Watch your foot angle. Don't get too high. Pivot the supporting foot. Body, hip, knee, foot. Everything finishes together. Just go to 45 degrees. Don't come all around to the side. And as you feel that you've got everything working as a team, then you can start with power. Everything finishes together. So you should feel your whole mass, your entire body weight is being thrown into the kick. And you still keep balance after your kick. Again, don't worry about height. Movement. Is my hip and my entire body weight behind my kick, or is it just my leg? That means if anything, your body will be going slightly towards your target after you kick. It shouldn't be falling backwards, but ideally you want balance. Pull the foot back with the ball of the foot. Like you're winding up a swing for a baseball bat. It's the same motion. And then as you get a little bit more experience, essentially it's just your hips that move, not your shoulders are moving first. Start with, and you'll see power breakers, they wind their shoulders up, but the shoulders involved too. Get everything this way because they don't have to worry about the fence. Good, Liam. Oh, that one didn't quite as much hip in it. Not as much explosion. Explode. Let your body explode. Isabel, your hips finishing too soon. That's better. Hip and foot finish together. Bring all of your mass into the kick. All of your mass. Don't worry about heights. Nice, Dr. Y. And come on. Okay, 10 push-ups because push-ups are awesome. Then grab a bit of water. Okay, then I'm going to need you to do one more kick. You're going to choose a ground-based kick. We're not worried about flying kicks. Any ground-based kick we haven't done, and try and figure out how to get your hip power and the power of your mass in behind your kick. Go. If you've got any questions, stop and ask. Whoa. Good, I see reverse turning kicks. A nice obvious one where you bring your body around first and then swing your leg to follow, like you're winding up a spring and then letting it go. What else am I seeing? Vertical kicks inward. Same kind of like when your hip is naturally moving in the same direction there. Your hip is right behind this kick. It's not a nice strong one to do. Very cool. What else am I seeing? Twisting kicks. I knew someone was going to choose the tough one. Because your body turns the opposite way from your foot. But you still got to get your hip to go into the same direction as your kick. While your body's turning the opposite way. That's a tricky one. Keep your hands under control when you kick. whatever kick you're doing. If you're doing twisting kick, when you get that feeling, you'll really notice it. It'll help you turn your foot over as well. When you're plowing your hip in the same direction as the kick, and turning your shoulders the opposite direction. Back piercing kick's a nice one, man. Yes. From here, of course, this is what we often say. I talk in class about pivoting, not spinning. From here, I pivot, my hips coming straight up, and then boom, explode into my back kick. It's very much like the front snap kick, where I've got to make sure that my hip and foot finish at the same time. It's a good way to do it is to start with from here. To make sure that my hip and foot finish at the same time. You can add the spin later. Good. So remember, the back kick's a pivot, not a spin. Pivot the supporting foot. So your back, so your kicking leg can go straight out to the target. If you can get that hip power in, it's a tremendously powerful kick. It takes a lot of practice.
So,
yes, sir.
with a pig-shaped kick, how would you go about doing that? Would you like try and push your hips upwards almost?
Slightly, yes. A lot of that, rather than coming from your hip, it's the muscles themselves, the pig-shaped kick. But you are lifting your hip a little bit, like tucking it forward. So I'm bringing my hip forward and then I'm pulling it back. Same for downward kick. It's going forward and back, like doing a sit-up. So, which we don't really do, but of course, if you're curling yourself forward this way, this is the load position for my downward kick and my pig-shaped kick. And then when I'm kicking, I'm extending myself back out. Does that make sense? So I'm curling up, tucks my hip in, and then straightening my body, and pulling my hip back out again. So
thank you, sir.
Forward and back.
So
So
could you say that downward kick has a rotating motion on the hip action?
it does have a little bit of a rotate, purely because of the direction of the kick.
Yeah.
Kick doesn't, but it's just the direction of the kick rotating. But the kick itself doesn't really develop a lot of power from that rotation. The power comes from the pull downward, from the hamstring and the hip pulling this way. It's kind of the reverse of a front snap kick. Yeah, good question.
So,
okay, ankle band. Nice work. Now, who wants to kick higher? A couple of you don't. Come on, we all want to kick higher. Now, usually what limits the height of our kick isn't actually our flexibility. That's one of the factors, but it's usually not the most important factor. The second one is most important, and that's strength. I'll demonstrate that. I want you all right now to do a side rising kick and then do a side piercing kick and see whether you can kick as high as you could with a side rising kick. Go. Do a side rising kick and then see whether you can do a side piercing kick the same height. Okay, we're all a little bit lower than the way your foot lifts up. So you've got the flexibility, you may have the flexibility to get here and the strength to get here, or the flexibility to get here and the strength to get here. So if we can work on that strength, we'll get higher kicks and the flexibility will come. Okay, so we're going to work on some basics for that because strength work is awesome. Hands and knees. We know what's coming. Knee and foot up to your shoulder, foot pull back for turning kick, and out and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try and lift it up. 7, 8, 9, 10, and change legs. Lift up. 1, lift. 2, keep the knee up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lift the knee, don't let the knee fall. 10. And relax. Now Yopchagi up behind us. Remember to bring the knee and foot as close as you can to the shoulder and piston out to behind you. So up and then straight back. And then back up with the knee still up to your shoulder. Right leg up. 1. Back. 2. Back. Lift. 3. Back. Keep that knee up. 4. Back. It's the most important thing to lift. 5. Back. 6. Back. 7. Back. 8. Back. 9. Back. 10. Back. And bottle. Boy. Now the other leg. Yep. And back. 1. Back. 2. Back. 3. Feel that psychic piston. Back. 4. Lift the knee. Back. 5. Back. 6. Back. 7. Back. 8. Look over your shoulder. Back. 9. Back. 10. Back. Who feels their bottom? Who doesn't feel their bottom? Oh, good. If you didn't, you weren't doing it right. Okay. Second set. Oh, I gotta brush my brow first. Oh, okay. Lower jaggy first. Right leg up. Lift it out. 1, 2, back. 3, back. Look where you're kicking. 4, back up towards your shoulder. 5, back. 6, back. 7, back. 8, back. 9, back. 10, back. Try and keep your shoulders and head up as well. Don't let your shoulder drop down. Keep your body as upright as you can. Other leg. Knee up. 1, back. 2, back. Lift it. 3, back. 4, back. Jacob, lift the knee. 5, back. 6, back. 7, back. 8, back. 9, back. 10, back. Oh, I'm regretting doing this with the kids before this class. Okay, Yop Jackie. Right leg up. Back. In. 2, back. 3, back. 4, back. 5, back. 6, back. Look over the shoulder. 7, back. 8, back. 9, back. 10, back. And relax. Challenge yourself by lifting your knee as high as you can. And the other leg. Up. 1, back. 2, back. 3, back. 4, back. 5, back. 6, back. 7, back. 8, back. 9, back. 10, back. Wow. Make sure you keep that knee high throughout the motion. Don't start with your knee high, drop it during the kick, and then lift it again at the end. You want to have your knee moving in the same direction as your kick to get power. If you drop the knee in order to get height, you sacrifice power. Okay, so keep the knee moving in the same path as the foot all the time, even if that means keep bringing your kick down a little bit. Now, for those of us who aren't under 20, or under 30, when we're examining you, we are looking for the quality of your techniques. So we'd rather see a really strong kick at the height of maybe your badge or your ribs than a rubbish kick at your eye level, for example, in Wharana. You young guys, no excuse. You actually just be kicking eye level. But us older guys, if it's a little bit lower, that's fine. And some of us, even some young guys, don't have the flexible genes in their body type. So again, we would still rather see a strong, really, really strong, really good technique at a lower height than a rubbish technique at higher height. And if you practice good technique lower, the height will come just through practice, repetition. Your muscles get used to it and get a little bit more flexible dynamically. Okay, that was enough talking for me. One more set. Oh, I may regret this. Okay. Left leg up, dolotagi, out, back, 2, back, 3, back, 4, back, 5, back, 6, back, 7, back, 8, back, 9, back, 10, back. And the other leg. Good stuff. Up. 1, back. 2, back. Lift. 3, back. 4, back. Lift the knee. 5, back. 6, back. 7, back. 8, back. 9, back, 10, back. Oh, yeah. Ah. And yup check. Okay, last one. Right leg up, knee high. 1, back, 2, back. Keep the knee up. 3, back. 4, back, 5, back, 6, back. Nice, Mr. J. 7, back, 8, back. Lift it up. 9, back. Last one as high as you can with the knee. 10, back. Oh, yeah. Oh. I'm just going to pop my towel under my knee. Mr. J, you're on a hard surface. You want to do the same. Okay, lift up. 1, back. 2, back. 3, lift the knee. Back. 4, back. Challenge yourself. 5, back. 6, back. 7, back. 8, back. Lift. 9, back. 10, back. Oh, yeah. 10 push-ups and you have a drink. Don't rush those push-ups, get a nice range of motion. Oh, yeah. Okay, one moment. Oh, that's not what I want on that. I shall be with you all interfrastically. Okay, on your feet. Now, last little exercise we're going to do today is to try and take the same learnings that we've done from those explosive movements from our kicks and add those to what we were playing with last week with the explosive movements for our hands. Remember, sine wave are working a three count. So from your first position, you've got a down motion where you relax, everything's floppy, an up motion where you do your backward motion or your cross, and then a down motion where you explode. The down motion and the up motion, you slowly accelerate, and I'm falling into that third position. And that explosion happens really, really quickly. Now remember, you want to delay your hips slightly so that when you start moving your hip, you then move your hands and everything finishes together. So rather than going like this, see my hip and hand are moving at the same speed. I'll do it sideways so you can see. My hips and hands are moving at the same speed. A couple of you younger guys, this is what you're presently doing. Okay, so even if we've got my sine wave, everything's moving at the same speed. What we want to do instead is the hips start first in that third part of the movement. So when I start part 3, I'm at 45 degrees, I'm relaxed, pull back, and then my hip moves first and then finishes at the same time as my hands. That gets me the explosion of power. Okay, so the hips are leading and the hand catches up. Everything finishes together. Slowing it down a bit. Okay, so try that. Initially, just try with a low block with something really simple, left and right, and feel your hip lead and your hand catch up. Starting from 45 degrees, we are half facing your opponent here, across, and boom, explode and land into my walking stance. So relax through 1 and 2, only tense at the end of the movement. Don't tense during the movement. 1, 2, tense. 1, 2, tense. Use the speed of your breath to control the speed of your hips. Accelerate, and tighten up at the end. And that's when you finish your movement. So Jacob, at the moment, your hands and hip are moving pretty much together this way. What I want you to do is try and get your hip moving a little bit sooner, and then speed the hands up to catch up. So your hands go really fast to catch up to your hips. So lead with the hip and catch up with the hands. Okay, come on. Now, a couple of little points I'm going to add. First up, just stand with your hands out the side like this. Now move your hips. Keep your arms where they are. They're not attached, right? So my hips can move independently of my shoulders. A lot of us seem to forget that. From here, you can move your hips independently of your shoulders. Now, the second thing I want you to do, just put your hands on your hips, and I want you to do that footwork movement just with your hips. Try and get that explosion of your hips. Relax, explode. Half facing, full facing. Super fast from half to full. Sorry, half to, well, from an L stance position to a walking stance position is more correct. From here in my L stance position, dropping to my walking stance where I'm still half facing because I'm doing a block. In particular, a low block. So I want you to feel an explosion in your hips. No hands, just your hip. You keep your hands up out of the way if you like, if it helps you to think about it. Just explode the hip. Now try doing that forwards with your punch, or without a punch initially, because it's much harder. Full fist punch is really hard to do. Because you kind of got to delay the hip or the foot stretching forward, and then get a little bit of torque this way with the hip at the moment of impact. Once you feel it with your hips, now add your hand back in. Particularly that side block. It's a really comfortable one to get lots of power. You get a nice twist of that hip, of the hip. So feel it. Feel the explosiveness of your power. It's much harder with a 4-fist punch. You'll feel that it's really tricky because your hip has to move the same direction as your hand, not the opposite direction. It's really tricky to do with a punch. A reverse punch is easy, but an obverse punch is actually really hard. Okay, try some other movements. Try things like knife hand side strike or walking stance back for side strike or anything. Just feel the hips explode into the movement. It doesn't work with things like twin forearm block, as I said last week, because you don't have the hip motion in twin forearm block because your hands are moving in different directions. Anything where your hands are going in different directions, your hip doesn't get involved. It's just your sine wave. Otherwise, you're sacrificing one hand in favor of the other. Okay, and come on. Now I want you to go through your own pattern. Mr. J, choose one and try and apply the same principle on all the movements. As we always do in our confined space, if I don't have enough space, I'll finish this movement, then I'll adjust my position and then do the next movement. No little bitty sacrificing stances. Finish every stance, adjust your position. Go through your own pattern, take your time, and feel how the hip gets involved. You play with kicks as well now. So you should be able to feel how your hip gets involved in the kicks as well as the hand movements. So for those of you doing Chungmu, you should feel a much stronger pair of side kicks in your Gyopchagi at the end of the pattern. Isabel, your hands finish before your feet there. From here, remember, everything's got to finish together. Let me just spring that knee there, Arnav, from your L stance knife and guarding block. Spring the back knee to explode into your upper elbow strike. Nice, you felt it. Yes, excellent. Good, I saw it too. Yeah, nice. Nice, Mr. J. Just watch that you don't wind up from here. You don't wind the shoulders up for that punch at the end. You want to use your hip and your sine wave, but leave your shoulders where they are. Okay, last time through. Just finish up what you're doing. Any questions? Unmute and ask.
So for a palm upward block, it seems as though you kind of finish your hip rotation and then you bring your hand up afterwards. Or am I doing the coordination wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right, actually. It is one that's very difficult to get the hip motion in, and you get more of it from dropping your body down and bringing your hand in the opposite direction. Your power comes from dropping and lifting rather than from hip rotation. You're right, hip rotation there doesn't really work. If anything, no, I don't want to say that. So yeah, just drop and lift. Okay, you'll all have noticed, I'm sure, some movements where sometimes it doesn't work or it's actually wrong to do it. if you're using two hands and they're moving in the same direction for a block like this, then you can get amazing hip power. But if you've got two hands doing something like an H fist pressing block or a twin fist vertical punch or H fist rising block, I can't rotate my hip because then it'll put one of my hands in the wrong direction. Okay, so I've really just got to use my sine wave to drop into my power here. So for twin fist vertical punch, I'm thinking down, up, boom, exploding forward rather than any sort of hip rotation. So you'll notice there's a couple of those movements where you just don't get rotational hip power. You just stick to the sine wave and drop into the movement using your sine wave. Okay, particularly where you're using two hands and both hands are involved in the technique, unlike this where one hand's involved in the technique and the other one's supporting it.
So,
Yes, Christian.
knife hand strike.
Yes.
There's no hip rotation, right? Because this is just reaction force, and this is the
Correct.
strike.
Yep. Yeah, so you can get a nice explosion of hip in that movement. Yeah, cool. Okay. That's our time, guys. Sitting down, we better do a decent stretch because we've done a lot of kicking movements. So we'll run a little bit over, but left leg out, right leg over the top. Don't know about you, but for me, the time went really quickly in that session. Did everyone get to feel how you could do a slow motion movement and figure out whether your power was involved in the movement? Your hip and all the power around your core. So you should be able to do those movements slowly and feel the explosion of the core when you're doing it in slow motion, and then speed it up, and you should feel the difference in power. So you young guys, it's something to work on. That's one of the things that we expect more as you get up the grades is that ability to generate power using your body. Now we're moving away from having nice movements. You've got to keep the nice movements, but you also must be powerful. And change legs. Remember after class to use your training notebook, write down notes of things that you picked up. You might have had like the front snap kick. You might have had a little aha moment when you were playing around with generating power from your hips. You may have remembered something that I've said. Whatever it is, just jot things down, draw your diagrams. Help you remember these things. Okay, we'll do our hamstrings one at a time. So one leg out, the other leg tucked into the groin. Reach up and lean forwards. Try to keep your hips as straight ahead as you can. Get a good stretch in the hamstring. Your tummy down towards your thigh. Change. Hope it wasn't just me that broke into a sweat in that session. If so, it might say more about me than you guys. When you're doing your own practice, try and take those principles that we played with tonight about generating hip power for both foot and hand movements, using the sine wave as well as the hip for hand movements, using the hip for the foot movements, and try and work through all of your patterns and feel that hip opportunity in every one of your patterns. But as I said before, not in every one of the movements.
Hasn't like the lockdown been extended? Something?
We've got 2 more weeks in level 3, level 4.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So we know that already.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Now,
Oh,
fix it up. Yes, I'm
I
afraid.
thought there was more because someone was getting messages during the private training saying there was
My understanding is we've got 2 more weeks. What did your mum say there, Lockie?
Oh, oops. I think the lockdown might be extended.
Extended. Do we
A
know how
little bit,
long?
yeah. I don't know, sir. But just I was doing product knowledge earlier for work, and one of the guys kept getting spam with messages saying that it was extended. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Then you didn't realize you weren't used to it, did you? Yeah, heels in, just pushing down on your knees. Okay, and legs apart. Sit up nice and tall. Reach up to the ceiling. Don't touch it. You got dirty hands. And lean down to the left. And up. Stretch out nice and tall. Other side. Hand up. Stretch up to the ceiling. Down to the middle. If you got your legs nice and warm, you should get a nice stretch tonight. Breathe deep in, try and go a little bit lower. And slowly up. Drag your hips back. Give your legs a little shake. Now you can either stand up to do your quadricep stretch, or if you've got a soft floor or a cushion. In fact, we'll start with the iliopsoas. Lunges. Lunge forward. If you've got a soft floor, you can put your knee on the floor, otherwise do it standing up. Extend that hip. Which feels a lot deeper than it looks. Gee, it's disappointing. And reach around behind and grab your ankle. Or if you're standing, you can just do the standing up quadriceps. I find that if I can do it with my knee on the ground like this, I get a really deep stretch in the quadriceps. And change sides. And the exhaust first. And grab the ankle, we'll stand up for the quadriceps. And standing up. Student hip rotation. Change direction. And look at that, it's just after 7 o'clock. We better do our 7 o'clock push-ups. Don't rush. Nice push-ups. Try and keep that up every hour in the hour. Let's see how you're going tomorrow. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Mr. J. You're welcome to come along again tomorrow, 6 o'clock, and Thursday. I'll see everybody else tomorrow at 6. Thank you. Have a good night. Sit up. Come in. Takon. How's up? Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
sir.
everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the invite.
Oh, you're most welcome. Felt pretty good tonight too. Oh, you got a sweat. That's awesome.
Yes, I'm sweating. I've washed my garage floor. Right.
Happy to help. How you doing in lockdown?
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, it's always a bit of a struggle. How about yourself, sir?
Yeah, generally good.